So, it's now nearly been 2 months since Sports Interactive, the developers behind Football Manager, told us that FM25 was being cancelled. Just to quickly recap for those of you that don't know, FM25 was meant to be the new era of Football Manager, the game built from the ground up on a new engine, something that many people were crying out for years, with the game kind of falling behind a little bit in terms of other games of its price point and of its popularity, in terms of not just graphically, but the kind of improvements it was getting year on year out. They said to make this new era happen, they had to build it on a new engine, and it was almost hailed as like a Football Manager 2, really, with the fact that it was being built from the ground up to allow for more progression going forward. But then, as you know, the game got cancelled. A game that was originally meant to come out in November, they opened pre-orders for it to get delayed until March, and then in February time, early February, we heard through the night that the game had been cancelled and we weren't going to see it. Now, since then, it's been pretty much radio silence. We have heard recently from Sports Interactive that the game will remain available, FM24 that is, the current Football Manager game. That's going to be on your Game Passes, your Apple Arcades and whatnot, as well as Steam until the end of the year. I will link the article down below for anyone interested, but that's basically the gist of it. The game is staying available, which you would assume is almost a given, but really in the situation we're in, it's not something they ever would have planned for. Usually when one Football Manager game comes out, you can no longer purchase the old one. So it's good to see at least that FM24 will be staying alive in that sense until we eventually see the new game. But yeah, obviously the dust has now settled a little bit, and it's time for us to start looking forward to what we kind of want to see happen with FM25, how we expect it might go, what it might look like from here, and hopefully we can start getting a little bit excited about this new game, as difficult as it may be with the whole situation that's happened over recent months. I know me and many people that play Football Manager have kind of been very disheartened by the whole thing and the way it was delivered, the fact that there was very little communication, and they kind of led everything with, oh, by the way, the new game's coming out, but we're taking this away, and we're taking this away, and we're taking this away. Never really gave us anything about the new game other than some screenshots and videos that said work in progress, and we haven't even seen the new match engine yet or anything like that. So now I guess it's time to start hopefully getting the ball rolling to what will, I assume, be an eventual release of the next Football Manager game. Almost certainly that'll happen at some point, whatever state it's in, I'm not sure, but right now, here is what I'm expecting. So, in terms of a timeline, I know no more than you guys will know, but Football Manager has always came out in November time with a 2-week beta period or so for the new game. I wouldn't be surprised with this game being on a new engine and whatnot if they want the beta period to be a little bit more extended so people can report bugs. But let's say that around October time we start seeing the game in some fashion, mid-October. You would expect a couple months before they would want pre-orders coming in, so you would guess maybe summertime we'll start seeing some kind of gameplay announcements, or at least if everything follows a normal schedule, that's what we might expect. Now, I know there is a theory by some people that Football Manager should start coming out the time that the normal football season starts, in that late summer period, but I don't know. I don't know if that's going to change, and I think they're going to want as long as possible, really, to master this game. Now, it should be noted, when they did cancel the game, they did say that it was working in a lot of the aspects they wanted. It just wasn't finalized yet. Now, that could have just been some nice words in a negative article to try and make people feel a little bit hopeful. Maybe it is the truth, who knows at this point. But at least it sounds like there is a game that should come out by the end of this year. If it doesn't, I think it will be a big, big problem. And as I've said many times here on the channel before, and many of you guys have as well, this really is make or break for them now, the way that they've kind of delayed this game for so long. If you don't know as well, with FM25, obviously, it was being hailed for quite a while as the new era of Football Manager. In fact, it was announced before the release of FM24 even came out, and they basically said that Football Manager hasn't been having that many improvements in recent years because they've been focusing so much on this new iteration of Football Manager. They'd been hiring developers for a long time for this new Unity engine, yet when the time came to it, it wasn't ready. So that already left a sour taste in people's mouths, especially when they started taking away features too when announcing this new FM game. So when this new Football Manager comes out, I think they need to hit it on every single front running. Granted, there's going to be bugs and whatnot. That's not really what I'm too bothered about because, of course, it is a new game on a new engine. But if they're going to charge a normal price of £40-odd, they need to be releasing a game that in the main core of it works exactly as intended. That takes me back to something that I said at the time, to be honest, when the game got cancelled, that actually, if it is a broken game, I'm happy that they didn't bring it out because it cost people money, well-earned money, to buy this game, and if it's broken, they don't want to sell that. My issue was more with the way that it was delivered and promised for a long time, but alas, enough about that. The game itself, it doesn't seem too much for me to ask that it works from the ground up. You want the new match engine to work well, you want the new user interface to actually function well, and not only function well, it's got to be an improvement really from where we came from, and it looked like with everything they were saying, it was going to be a little bit more streamlined to look more like a real game and not like a spreadsheet that many of us have came to love with Football Manager, but it also puts a lot of people off, and getting new people into the game is something that of course FM wants to do, and I'm all behind that as we try and grow the game into something bigger. So obviously it goes without saying that I want the game to work from the ground up, but also one thing that I think could really get people on side if everything is hitting the targets they expect is if they bring back some of these features that they cancelled originally with the new launch of the Football Manager game, mainly international management. If they can say to people, sorry for the delay, the game is working, here's what it looks like, oh, and by the way, we're bringing back these things that we said we'd taken away, that's going to start making people a little bit more excited and start earning some more goodwill towards them. Now, I don't know on the development schedule of things if that's even possible. Granted, they did say that when FM25 was originally meant to come out in November of last year, that they were hoping to introduce international management and the features they'd taken away in the future iterations of the game, so you would have expected that in FM26, which would have came out at the time that the next Football Manager game is now going to come out, that they would have had this international management in it. So for me, that's something I want to see. I think it would do them a lot of good if they can say they've started to bring some of those features back and get people on side. In terms of the game, it doesn't have to have every single bell and whistle that we're going to see with this new Football Manager, because of course now they've built it on a new engine, they can expand on it year in, year out. I just want the game that we love and know in Football Manager 24, 23, whatever, to work as intended, as it already does in this new engine. It doesn't need to have revamped training, revamped team talks and all this stuff. No, I just want the game that we know to work on this new engine, and they can hopefully start to build on things as time goes on. So in terms of the actual workings of the game, they're the things that I want to see. Obviously have it work as intended, but also start bringing back some of those things that they stripped away from us. And then we get on to the main thing that I want to see, and that is way better communication from Sports Interactive. The way that it was going, they knew they eventually had to cancel this game that we had previously. They kind of kept people in the dark about a lot of stuff, and I want to kind of know early that this game is on the right path. Before you even try and sell the game and pre-order it, start giving us little teasers every now and then from early summer if they can. Let's say they finish, I don't know, the match engine. Start showing us a couple clips of the match engine. If they finish the user interface and they know what that's going to look like, start giving us a few screenshots of that. Start building a little bit of anticipation as time goes on, else they could have a poor launch, and that could really affect the future of Football Manager, who have already missed the sales of a whole year's worth of games, which is already going to be affecting them. So they really need to get the ball rolling in that sense, in my opinion. We don't need to see new features and everything in detail straight away, but start giving us some inkling that this game actually exists, because as mentioned, they released pre-orders before with some work in progress screenshots and no real footage of what the game is going to look like in the in-game engine. So that is something that I think they really need to do. Master the rollout of it. The worst thing I think they could do is get to, say, early summer or late summer, still haven't really said anything about the game, and then be like, trust us, it is coming, and then still not show anything. I'm not saying the game needs to be perfect by the summertime, but if you're going for that normal November release, I'd like to start seeing some aspects of the game getting released to us in terms of whether that's screenshots, videos, or even just an article telling us that this part is working. Can't wait for you guys to see it. That will at least get the hype rolling for the game again. Hopefully then Sports Interactive can regain the trust of its audience base, and by the time that pre-orders roll out, we'll all be confident enough in this game that they'll start getting pre-orders and the game will start going in the direction we all want to see it going, which is of course with Football Manager being the most complete football management sim on the market and the most popular one as well. Before that game was cancelled, Football Manager was on the up, whether it be the YouTube viewership, whether it be downloads, whether it be the fact that it was now available on PlayStation and Xbox, and more people were playing it than ever, which you can see both from the stats, but also people that I know in real life, guys that have never even heard of Football Manager before, were now playing it because it was free to them on Game Pass, or they saw it on PlayStation Plus, whatever it might be. With the Premier League rights and everything they promised for the new Football Manager game, if they get it working on a new engine, something that looks a little bit less spreadsheety and more like an actual game that all works perfectly, and bring in some of those features that they've taken away with a good rollout and open communication, I'm hoping that we really will see the dawn of a new Football Manager series. Let's keep our fingers crossed. But they're my thoughts on the current state of FM. Let us know yours down below. We'll keep the content coming for FM24. Hopefully you're still enjoying it. And fingers crossed, I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye.